Do you know someone who has spent their entire life trying to escape bad habits and never succeeded? They try to quit. They restart. They promise themselves, this time is different. And days later, they're back in the same place. Some people fight addictions like alcohol or drugs. Others battle obesity, procrastination, emotional eating, or compulsive behavior. They begin with motivation, strong motivation, but motivation fades. You've probably seen it before. Someone decides to lose weight. They go extreme. No sugar, no carbs, no fun, daily gym sessions, daily running, perfect routines. And for a few days it works, but then reality arrives. Stress, work pressure, family responsibilities, fatigue, mental exhaustion. The routine collapses. The system breaks. The discipline disappears. And the person returns to their old habits, often worse than before. Maybe you've seen someone like this. And maybe that person is you. But what if I told you there is a system, a method, built from ancient philosophies that can help break any destructive habit? Obesity, addiction, procrastination, self-sabotage, compulsive behavior, discipline failure. And the system is shockingly simple. It combines principles from Ikigai, Kaizen, Hara, Hachibu, Wabi-Sabi, and Gambaru, but I need to warn you, this method goes against modern productivity culture. It contradicts motivational hype. It rejects all or nothing thinking. And it will ask you to do something that feels too small to matter. So small that your mind will reject it. So small that you'll think it's useless. Until it works. Before I explain it, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment which habit you most want to change in your life. This channel exists because people apply what we teach here, and their lives change. This video was inspired by a comment from a subscriber asking for help with obesity. So today's story focuses on that, but the system works for any area of life. Thank you for being here. Now back to the story. Chapter 1. The day everything changed. Today I'm going to tell you about a man named Christopher. Christopher was 40 years old. He weighed 142 kilos. And he was destroying his body without realizing it. He wasn't a bad man. He worked as a stock manager in a warehouse for 15 years. Left home at 5 a.m., returned at 7 p.m. 2 kids. A wife. Bills. Responsibilities. Routine. A normal working class life. He supported his family, but forgot he had a body. His diet was whatever was convenient. Breakfast in the car. Lunch at his desk. Dinner in front of the TV. Too tired to sit at the table. Too exhausted for conversation. Weekends were pizza, beer, and the couch. He told himself he deserved it. After all, he worked harder than most people. His body started sending warnings. Stairs became difficult. Breathing became heavy. Tying his shoes became a physical struggle. He had to sit down, hold his breath, strain his body. His kids asked him to play. He made excuses. His wife suggested walks. He declined. But the worst moment wasn't the scale. It was the look in his 7-year-old daughter's eyes when she stopped asking him to play. She had learned something. Her father doesn't play. Christopher saw it, felt it, and did nothing. Because he had already tried to change. 3 gym attempts, all failed. Low-carb diet, quit. Morning runs, stopped. He had reached the most dangerous place a human can reach. Acceptance of defeat. This is just who I am. It's genetics. My metabolism is slow. I don't have time. Until the body says, enough. The moment it was a Saturday morning. Christopher sat in the backyard while his 9-year-old son played ball. Not playing. Watching. The boy kicked the ball too far. It landed in the neighbor's flower bed. Dad, can you get it for me? Christopher stood up. Walked over. Bent down. And couldn't stand back up. Not from injury. Not from pain. From weakness. His legs couldn't lift his own body weight. He ended up on all fours in the flower bed, sweating, struggling, while his son watched in silence. The neighbor had to help him stand. That night, Christopher sat on the edge of his bed and cried. Not because of the weight. Not because of shame. Because his son had seen it. Because he had created a memory. My father is weak. His wife entered the room. She didn't lecture him. She didn't judge him. She hugged him and said, "You need help, Chris. Real help." Chapter 2. The Japanese doctor. On Sunday morning, Christopher called the only person he knew who had truly changed. Marcus, a friend who had lost 30 kilos and kept it off. Marcus, I need help. What did you do? Doctor? Surgery? Medication? Marcus paused. I did see a doctor, but not the kind you're thinking of. He didn't give me medicine. He gave me a philosophy. Philosophy won't make me lose weight. You're wrong, Chris. The consultation the following Tuesday, Christopher sat in a minimalist room. No hospital smell. No medical posters. No machines. Just wood, light, silence, and a garden outside the window. Dr. T-shirt Yamamoto entered. 65 years old. Calm posture. Still presence. Quiet voice. He looked more like a monk than a doctor. Christopher, tell me why you're here. Christopher told him everything. The weight. The exhaustion. The kids. The shame. The flower bed. When he finished, he waited for diet plans, exercise routines, medical tests, prescriptions. They never came. Instead, Dr. Yamamoto asked, how many times have you tried to change? 3, maybe 4. And how long did each attempt last? A few weeks. 2 months at most. Dr. Yamamoto nodded. You didn't fail because of genetics. You didn't fail because of time. You didn't fail because of metabolism. You failed because you tried to solve a 40-year problem in 60 days. Silence. You built this body over 40 years. You built these habits over 40 years. And you expected to undo them in weeks. Then he said, I will ask you to make one change. So small you will think I'm joking. So small it will feel pointless. Do you accept? Christopher didn't hesitate. I'll do anything. Good. Starting tomorrow morning when you wake up, before anything else, drink 1 glass of water. That's it. Christopher waited. Nothing else came. 1 glass of water. Every morning. For 2 weeks. You can keep your food, your habits, your routines, your beer, your pizza, your TV. Just 1 glass of water. Christopher frowned. Doctor, I need to lose 50 kilos. A glass of water won't change my life. Dr. Yamamoto smiled. You're right. A glass of water won't change your weight. Dr. Yamamoto leaned forward. But it will change something far more important, he said calmly. It will prove that you can keep a promise to yourself. And right now, that's the only proof you actually need. Christopher left the office confused. He had just paid $200 to be told to drink water. He was irritated, almost offended. But one sentence wouldn't leave his mind, a promise to yourself. How many promises had he broken? How many Mondays had he sworn that this time will be different, only to quit by Wednesday? If he couldn't trust himself, how could he possibly change? That night, he filled a glass of water and placed it beside his bed. The alarm rang at 5 a.m. He saw the glass. He drank it. That's it. Day 2, same thing. Day 3, same thing. Day 7, something changed. He woke up before the alarm and his first thought was, where's my water? His mind had begun to expect it. 2 weeks later, he returned to the clinic. Dr. Yamamoto asked, did you drink the water every day? Yes. And how do you feel? Christopher hesitated. Honestly, kind of ridiculous. I didn't lose weight, but I did it. I didn't quit. I kept a promise to myself for 2 weeks. The doctor smiled. You've just experienced your first real transformation. It's called Kaizen, continuous improvement through microscopic change. You didn't try to climb the mountain. You took 1 step, then another, then another. Christopher frowned. But doctor, it was just water. It was never about the water, Yamamoto replied. It was about teaching your brain that change is possible. That you're not someone who always quits. Now tell me, are you ready for the next step? Christopher nodded. What is it? Keep the water, the doctor said. But now add one more thing. Put half the food you normally eat on your plate. Half. You can eat more after 20 minutes if you're still hungry. But start with half. Christopher went quiet. It sounded pointless. Too small. Too weak. But he had already done 2 weeks of water. He had proven something to himself. Okay, he said. We'll meet again in 3 weeks, Dr. Yamamoto replied. Chapter 3. The hidden system. What Dr. Yamamoto didn't explain at the time was that Christopher wasn't just changing habits. He was being introduced to a complete philosophical system that had shaped Japanese culture for centuries. Kaizen was only the doorway. The idea is simple. You don't need perfection tomorrow. You need to be slightly better than today. 1% better. And if you improve by 1% every day for a year, the change isn't linear, it's exponential. Small changes compound. But there was another layer. These tiny actions were keystone habits. Foundational behaviors that trigger automatic change in other areas of life. They act like a lever. Like the first domino. You don't fix everything. You fix one thing and everything else begins to move. The half-plate test the first week was brutal. Christopher finished eating and stared at the kitchen, wanting more. His mind screamed, "You're still hungry. Eat more. This isn't enough." But he remembered the rule: wait 20 minutes. If you're still hungry, eat again. In 3 weeks, do you know how many times he went back for more after 20 minutes? Twice. Only twice. Because his body wasn't starving, it was conditioned. He wasn't hungry. He was programmed. Without realizing it, Dr. Yamamoto had introduced him to Hara Hachibu, the Okinawan principle of eating until you're 80% full. The stomach takes time to signal the brain. Overeating isn't hunger, it's timing. At the next appointment, Christopher had lost 3 kilos. Dr. Yamamoto said, "This isn't about the weight. It's about the direction. For the first time in 40 years, your body is moving where you want it to go." Christopher nodded. "I feel different," he said. "Not just lighter. I feel in control." "Good," the doctor replied. "Now comes movement. The mailbox rule, but not the kind you're thinking," Dr. Yamamoto said. "Every morning after your water, walk from your door to your mailbox and back." Christopher laughed. "Doctor, my mailbox is 20 meters away. That's not exercise." "It's not supposed to be," Yamamoto said calmly. "It's identity training. Your body has forgotten that it was designed to move. We're reminding it, gently. 20 meters today. Not discipline. Not fitness. Memory." Christopher followed the instruction. Water. Half plate. Mailbox walk. On the 3rd day, his 7-year-old daughter saw him leaving. "Dad, can I come?" They walked together. She held his hand. She talked. About school. Friends. Little stories. Things she never shared before, because her father was always tired. When they returned, she asked, "Can we do this every day?" The following week, Christopher started walking to the corner store. Not because the doctor told him to, because his daughter wanted to go with him. And for the first time in years, no breathlessness. No back pain. No exhaustion. By the end of the 2nd month, he had lost 8 kilos. But the real change wasn't in his body. It was in his eyes. There was presence. Energy. Light. Ikigai. At the next visit, Dr. Yamamoto asked, "Christopher, why are you doing this?" "To lose weight." The doctor shook his head. "No. Why are you really doing this?" Christopher paused. For the first time, he didn't answer automatically. "I want to see my kids grow up. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle one day. I want to be present for my wife. I want to respect myself." Dr. Yamamoto nodded. "That's your ikigai, your reason for living. Weight is not the goal. Weight is the obstacle between you and your purpose." From that day forward, everything changed. When Christopher didn't want to wake up early, he didn't think about discipline. He thought about his daughter's hand in his. When he wanted to overeat, he didn't think about calories. He thought about walking her down the aisle. Because motivation fades. Purpose doesn't. Chapter 4. The first fall. 3 months later, Christopher had lost 14 kilos. Clothes fit differently. His face changed. People noticed. Then came Thanksgiving. Food everywhere. Turkey. Mashed potatoes. Pies. Desserts. Family pressure. "Come on, it's just one day. Don't be boring. You're fine now." Social pressure. The silent killer of transformation. Christopher gave in. He ate too much. That night, he looked in the mirror and thought, "I failed again. Here we go." The next morning, he didn't want the water. He didn't want the walk. The old pattern returned. "I've already failed, so what's the point?" Then he remembered something Dr. Yamamoto had once said, "You will fail. And when you do, that's when you'll find out who you've become." He picked up his phone. "Doctor, I messed up. I ate too much. I ruined everything. I don't think I can continue." The reply came in 2 minutes. "Come to the office this afternoon." Christopher sat in the familiar chair, bracing himself. He expected disappointment. A lecture. A speech about discipline. Dr. Yamamoto entered, sat calmly, and said only one thing, "Tell me what happened." Christopher told him everything. The food. The pressure. The guilt. The shame. The voice in his head telling him to quit. The doctor listened quietly. Then he asked, "Did you drink your water this morning?" "Yes." "And did you walk?" "Yes." Dr. Yamamoto nodded. "Then you didn't fail. You slipped. There's a difference. When you slip, you lose balance. When you fall, you stop moving. You never stopped moving." He leaned forward. "Christopher, I want to teach you something called wabi-sabi. It's a Japanese philosophy that honors imperfection. It teaches that nothing is permanent, nothing is flawless, and nothing is ever complete. And that beauty exists inside that imperfection. One bad meal doesn't erase 14 kilos. One day doesn't cancel 3 months. One mistake doesn't delete the walks with your daughter. One imperfect moment doesn't destroy a meaningful journey. Something shifted inside Christopher. Not collapse, release. The pressure to be perfect broke. But what if I mess up again? He asked. You will, the doctor said calmly. Many times. And every time you'll return. You'll drink your water. You'll walk. Because growth isn't about never failing. It's about always coming back. For the first time in his life, Christopher wasn't chasing perfection. He was building consistency. And consistency makes room for mistakes. Perfection doesn't. Perseverance, Dr. Yamamoto continued. Now I'm going to teach you Ganbaru. The ability to endure. To keep going when it's uncomfortable. You showed it today. You didn't want to continue, but you did the basics anyway. That's perseverance. Not intensity. Not motivation. Continuation. The pattern changed over the next months. Christopher slipped more than once. At Christmas. At birthdays. On stressful weekends. During exhaustion. During overwhelm. Old habits returned, briefly. But something had changed. Every time he slipped, he returned. Water. Half plate. Or again. And again. And again. And something happened. The setbacks got smaller. The gaps got shorter. The recoveries got faster. His brain learned a new rule: we don't quit anymore. We reset. By month 6, he had lost 23 kilos. But the real transformation had nothing to do with weight. It was the moment he stood up from the floor without effort while playing with his son. It was saying yes to an evening walk without hesitation. It was running through the yard with his daughter, laughing, sweating, alive. His wife watched from the window. Not seeing a new body, but the man she married returning. Not physically. Essentially. Chapter 5. Identity shift. By month 9, Christopher had lost 35 kilos. Daily walks became 30-minute routines. Half plates became natural. Not forced. Not controlled. Instinctive. But the deeper change was internal. During one session, Dr. Yamamoto asked, "When was the last time you thought about quitting?" Christopher tried to remember. He couldn't. The doctor smiled. That's because you're not trying to change anymore. You're living differently. This isn't effort now. It's identity. You're not a man trying to lose weight. You're a man who takes care of himself. That's permanent transformation, not temporary change. Dr. Yamamoto drew 5 connected circles. These 5 principles created everything you've become. Ikigai, purpose not weight loss. Family, presence, life. Kaizen, small improvement, tiny steps. Daily progress. Hara-hachi-bu, moderation, stop before excess. Listen to the body. Wabi-sabi, acceptance of imperfection, return, don't quit. Ganbaru, endurance, continue even when it's hard. Christopher stared at the page. His entire transformation explained in 5 words. This isn't a weight system, the doctor said. It's a life system. Apply it anywhere. Chapter 6. The proof. At month 12, Christopher took a blood test. Something he had avoided for years. The doctor looked confused. Your blood pressure is normal. Cholesterol down. Blood sugar stable. What changed? Christopher laughed. Water. The doctor didn't understand. But Christopher did. It wasn't the water. It was 365 better choices. Small decisions. Repeated daily. Compounded. That night he stood in front of the mirror. No six-pack. Loose skin. Still progress to make. But no shame. He saw a man who kept a promise to himself for 1 full year. The expansion. By month 18, Christopher had lost 52 kilos. 90 kilos. Healthy. Strong. Present. At his daughter's birthday party, children ran through the park. And for the first time he ran with them. A parent asked, "How did you do it?" Christopher smiled. 1 step at a time. That night his wife said, "It's not the weight. It's that you came back. You were here before, but not present. Now you are." He held her hand. "I almost quit so many times." "But you didn't," she said. "No," he replied. "I returned." The science layer, rewritten. Research shows most people fail not because they're weak, but because they change too fast. The brain interprets rapid change as danger. It resists. But tiny changes bypass resistance systems. Less than 1% per day. No alarm. No panic. No shutdown. Neuroscience confirms. When behavior becomes identity, willpower becomes unnecessary. You stop forcing. You start being. Longevity studies in Okinawa reveal the same pattern. Moderation, movement, purpose, acceptance of imperfection, perseverance, these principles appear in every long-living culture on Earth. Beyond weight, Christopher didn't stop with health. He applied Kaizen to his career. Small daily improvements. He was promoted. He applied it to his marriage. Night walks. Conversations. Growth together. Years later, his daughter said, "Dad, I remember when you couldn't play with me. But I remember the day you started walking to the mailbox. That's when I knew everything was going to change." Christopher understood something profound in that moment. His change had never been isolated. It had spread outward. Because when one person transforms, they don't inspire change. They authorize it. They make growth feel allowed. His teenage son began waking up early to train, not from pressure, not from discipline, but from observation. His wife started practicing stillness and reflection, not because she was told to, but because she saw proof that change could last. Real transformation doesn't spread like a virus. It spreads like permission. Chapter 7. The system that remains. 2 years after that first meeting, Christopher weighed 88 kilos. Not dieting. Not forcing. Not fighting. Maintaining. Naturally. He still drank water every morning. Still walked daily. Still stopped eating before fullness. Not because of rules, but because that's who he had become. Identity replaced effort. And something unexpected happened. He became a guide. People at work noticed. They asked him how he did it. And Christopher never gave long speeches. He asked one question: "What's the smallest change you can make today?" They'd answer, "I'll start the gym. I'll start a diet. I'll cut sugar." He'd shake his head. "Smaller. Much smaller. How about a glass of water when you wake up?" They laughed. "That's it," he'd say. 2 weeks. Nothing else. Most people never came back. They were still searching for speed. For shortcuts. For miracles. For intensity. But a few did return. And they always said the same thing: "I did it every day. And something feels different." Christopher always knew that person would change. Because they had learned the only lesson that matters. Self-trust precedes self-change. The final lesson. Dr. Yamamoto eventually retired. At their final meeting, he said, "You know something, Christopher? You never needed me. Everything I taught you already existed inside you. I just gave you permission to go slowly, to fail safely, to be imperfect, to continue anyway." Christopher shook his head. "I couldn't even stand up from the ground back then." "Physically, no," the doctor replied. "But mentally, you stood up every day. You went to work. You provided. You endured. You carried shame. You carried exhaustion. You carried responsibility. You always had perseverance. You just never recognized it." That moment broke him. And Dr. Yamamoto said, "You didn't need a hero system. You needed a human system. One that respected fatigue. One that accepted weakness. One that worked with your nature, not against it." These philosophies were never about perfection. They were about continuity. Being human. Every day. Without stopping. Christopher embraced him. Because the man hadn't saved his life. He had returned it. Chapter 8. The legacy. In Christopher's living room, 2 photos hang side by side. One shows a heavy man sitting in a plastic chair, watching life pass in front of him. Not participating. Only observing. The second shows him on the floor, laughing, building toys with his son, his daughter climbing on his back. Alive. Present. His wife took that photo quietly. When he saw it, he asked why. She said, "This is the moment I waited a decade for. The moment you returned." But the real legacy isn't the weight loss. It isn't the health. It isn't the promotion. It's this. His daughter once told her friend, "My dad is the most disciplined person I know." Not because of workouts. Not because of diets. But because she grew up watching him. Drink water. Walk daily. Fall. Recover. Continue. Return. Resist. She learned that change isn't intensity. It's identity. And one day when life gets hard for her, she will remember. Not words. Not speeches. But behavior. She'll remember that her father proved. Transformation is built, not triggered. Identity is constructed, not discovered. Change is stacked, not rushed. One action at a time. One day at a time. Forever. The invitation now. Let me ask you something. You've stayed until the end. That means you're searching for something. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's discipline. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's control. Maybe it's purpose. And maybe you're thinking, my situation is different. More complex. Harder. Messier. It probably is. But the system doesn't change. Because the problem is never knowledge. You already know what to do. Eat better. Move more. Sleep more. Drink less. Be present. Stop numbing. Start acting. The problem is scale. You're trying to become a different person instantly. You're trying to win a long war in a short sprint. And every failure builds a new identity. I'm someone who quits. I'm undisciplined. I'm weak. I can't change. But that identity is not truth. It's feedback from a broken system. You don't need fast change. You need sustainable change. You don't need 30 days of intensity. You need decades of consistency. And consistency only survives when it's small enough to survive bad days. The challenge, so here's your challenge. Choose one change. The smallest possible change. So small it feels stupid. So small it feels pointless. So small you can't excuse it. A glass of water. One push-up. 1 minute of silence. 1 page of a book. 1 stretch. 1 breath. 1 walk to the door. Anything. But it must be microscopic. Do it for 14 days. Nothing else. No stacking. No upgrades. No acceleration. No pressure. Just one promise. One action. Every day. After 14 days, you won't prove you can change your life. You'll prove something more important. You can trust yourself. And once self-trust exists, everything else becomes possible. Then you add one more thing. Then another.